let's get started, shall we? So before we begin, some of you don't know me, so I would like to introduce myself very shortly. I'm Karina Neida. I'm a teacher of English. I've been training global leaders to communicate in English for about 25 years. And I'm also a mindfulness trainer. Some years ago, I created a new brand that it's called Business English Mentoring. And through that brand, I deliver specific workshops and soft skills. And I kind of blend business English with mindfulness practice. And I have also founded Enraizar con Mindfulness. That's another brand of mine. And what I do is deliver different mindfulness programs in educational settings, but also in companies. So I'm definitely an entrepreneur. I love creating projects, and I'm always on the move. That's how I describe myself. So this is the best time actually to be on the move, right? Taking this as an opportunity to move on, to reinvent ourselves, to find the best version. It's always there. So the reason I thought about this workshop, besides teaching you about mindfulness and sharing with you my own experience, is because I think that in this time of these crisis we're all living in, it's so important to develop inner resources. Those resources we all have since the moment we were born, but we many times don't cultivate, don't develop. We just are completely oblivious to the fact that we have them. And it's in these very moments of crisis that we need to go back and really connect with our inner strength. It's there, and we all have it. And that's, I think it's a great moment. I think this is a huge opportunity to wake up, to be truly awake with our eyes wide open and see how we can, what the coronavirus really has to teach us, or what the coronavirus or COVID-19 can teach us, or can teach about ourselves, can teach us about ourselves. I think it's a moment to discover maybe what's there and we didn't know was there. Okay, what do you think? Are you with me?
Yes.
Right. Okay, good. More people jumping in. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Mariana. How are you? All right. So that was just a little bit of an introduction. And I also wanted to share a story with you that is very meaningful to me. And a story that, it's a personal story, the one I want to share, but it has really taught me about resilience, about strength, about compassion. And this happened to me like 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago to the date. I was in San Martin de los Andes in Argentina, southern Argentina, Patagonia, with my husband. We were just remodeling a log cabin we had there. We were alone. It was kind of our second honeymoon, sort of, so to speak. I have 2 children that were here in Buenos Aires with my mom. And we were having the best time. We were having the best time when I got a call, a very unexpected call from my sis. She is a doctor and a pediatrician. And she told me very bluntly on the phone, like doctors are, they tell you things very directly, that my son, who at the time was 8 years old, had been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and that I had to return immediately because he was hospitalized. So at that moment, imagine the situation. I was far away. It was like I got very scared. He was hospitalized. He was okay, but the whole situation was really, really unexpected. It took me completely by surprise. And I flew back to Buenos Aires on that very same day. Thank God I got a flight. And there, that situation, I mean, this situation we're living in truly reminded me of that, because I was very scared. I didn't know what to do, but I still knew that I had a choice to see that as a tragedy, as the worst thing that could have happened to me and my family and my son, of course, or that we could actually see that as an opportunity. And since I was already in this new path of self-discovery and meditating and do yoga and really very much connected, I was lucky enough to be really awake and choose the path of opportunity. And I would never regret that, because I think that because since we took that situation um, from a place of love and calmness, and it's that my son could go through this in a very different way, and he learned about how resilient he was and how strong he could be, and most importantly that he could still be happy in spite of his illness. He knows there is no cure for this. He cannot change that. Imagine talking about a child talking about acceptance when he's 9 years old. That's very difficult. And it was very difficult for him to accept this. But we all, we were together in this, and we could see this as an opportunity to grow, to be happy in spite of this. And that's why I wanted to share this with you, because yes, we are in lockdown. This is a terrible quarantine that is going to be extended, and we don't know what's going to happen. This is completely unexpected and uncertain, but we can still be okay. I mean, we can still be okay with this. We don't need to suffer. We can. Of course we can. We can suffer. We can choose suffering. That's okay. I'm not there to judge. But there is another way in which you can be much better, and you can really foster your well-being. Okay? Very good. So this is what we're gonna do. Let's see. Before we start, I would like to invite you to a short exercise to make a pause, because I think that we are coming, like probably on autopilot and doing lots of things, and maybe you were still sending some emails before joining us, and so I think it's a good moment to just stop and do just exercise, which is a mindful pause, I call it, or you can also say it's a minute to arrive. It's a very short practice. So you're gonna place both feet on the ground. Make sure your back is straight but not rigid. You can either close your eyes or just lower your gaze, softening your side downwards. And just notice maybe your feet on the ground, how that feels. The touch on the ground. Notice any sensation, any body sensation. Maybe you feel you're tense in the shoulders or the neck. Just being in contact with your body, noticing whatever's there. Bringing your attention to your breath as well. Noticing your breathing. We breathe all the time, but we hardly notice. So taking a moment to see what it feels like to be breathing right now in this moment. And connecting with yourself. And if you get distracted with thoughts or sounds around you, it's okay. Just bring yourself back to this moment. to your breath. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. Okay. Maybe you can stretch a little bit. We're just waking up someone, so it's good to stretch your body, feel there. Maybe drink some water or tea or whatever you got at hand. Okay, that's good. That's a nice way to start the day. And I've got these two questions for you. First of all, what did you notice in this exercise? And you can write on the chat box, maybe 2 words. If you note, whatever you notice, maybe you notice some pain. Maybe it was very difficult for you to concentrate on your breathing. Maybe you noticed you had lots of thoughts. Whatever it was, just write that down. I would like to see some comments if you want to share. Whatever you noticed. Some tension in my shoulders, relaxed, all right, relief, that's good. Whatever it is you notice. Maybe you didn't notice anything, and that's okay too. You know, backache, all right, I noticed myself getting asleep again, good. Yeah. You know, there's one thing that happens that when we stop, we realize how tired we were. And it's because we're on the move all the time. We just lose track and we lose touch with ourselves. So the moment we stop and we connect with ourselves, we notice how tired we were. And that's why maybe you found yourself a little bit asleep. All right. Thank you for sharing. Now, what about the second question? What would make this a successful day for you? I mean, a good day, a nice day, in spite of all that's happening around us. I mean, the fact that we are locked down and what would still be or make this a great day for you today? To be able to focus on my work. All right. Yeah. Being able to focus. These days we're so distracted, so much going on, right? Positive thinking. Yeah. Good. We need lots of that these days. Today I'm connecting with my entire team abroad. Okay, good. A moment of happiness, of joy. Yeah. Well, let's hope we can do that. To have the chance of starting connected with myself. Yeah. All right. Good. Just remember this. Just remember what you wrote. And then check it out later. Like, am I doing things to get nearer that goal that I had? Because remember that it's always up to you. You can always you can make this day a beautiful day for you. You just decide to do so, you know. Many times we expect a lot from the external circumstances to make us happy. And we forget that we have the power to make ourselves happy. All right? We have that choice. So write this down and then check it out. Enjoy some time with my boy. Yeah, nice. Do that. Okay, excellent. Now, why do you think it's so difficult to stop sometimes? I mean, since we've been in this lockdown, from the moment the quarantine came up, have you been able to really stop, or you feel you're working more than before, that the life-work balance is very difficult to achieve? I mean, how do you find yourself there? Because in my personal view, it's like I feel I'm really working more hours, and it's very difficult to stop, to set a limit, a clear limit, you know? New task added, working more, you see, working endlessly. Yeah, it's sure. Yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same. So it's more than ever before we need to stop. We need to stop. We need to work on our well-being, because then we feel, this is what Natalie is telling us, it's more difficult to disconnect if I'm all the time in the same place. Yes, yes, I know. Yeah, yeah, it's like we are all the time in working mode. Yeah, it's very difficult to stop. And it's very difficult to stop, but at the same time, the context, I'm trying to show you the next slide. Remember we talked about leadership in VUCA world, or I don't know if you're acquainted with this acronym, but we've been living already before COVID-19. I mean, the VUCA was already here. VUCA world stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And this is the type of world we are living in now. And at this point is more than ever. And research and neuroscience and health is telling us that the human beings are not really adapting to this new world. It's very difficult for us to adapt. And I don't know if you've heard, but the illnesses, the emerging illnesses of this 21st century are depression, stress, and anxiety. And people are feeling very lonely. I mean, before COVID, they were still feeling very lonely. The subjective feeling of loneliness was really an epidemic. And imagine now that we are really alone, because we are alone in our places, and people are really alone because they live alone. So this is really making room for these mental illnesses to now emerge. And this is why we need to take care of ourselves, and we need to work on our well-being. Because this is the new normal. It seems that these, this is the new expression again. We're listening all the telly all the time, but this seems to be the new normal. And since our brain is not really prepared for this type of uncertainty, I mean, we don't know when this is going to end. And this is what is driving us crazy, because the brain, in order to work really effectively, needs to be able to control something, to anticipate, to plan. And we are not able to do that anymore, because we don't know when this is going to end. So this is why we're so anxious and why we're maybe so depressed certain days, and we feel so disconnected. So more than ever, it's really important that we can find tools to unlearn maybe old paths and be able to adapt in these new contexts. And as leaders, as global leaders, we are, because we are all leaders somehow. You don't need to be the CEO of a company to be a leader, right? We really need to see this as an opportunity to bring out the best in ourselves. And we need to find tools in order to do that, because we are born with all the ingredients. We are born with all we need. We are capable of these highest capacities if we just foster them and cultivate them. And I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about these inner capacities of strength, resilience, gratitude, generosity, compassion, those things that we really need at this moment. As truly leaders, we need to build our compassion, to be able to understand what each other, what we are going through, and be much more understanding and flexible, and reach out, be of help. All right, so this is why I'm talking. This is what Richard Davidson said. He's a scientist and a mindfulness expert, and he claims that well-being is a skill. I truly agree. What is well-being for you? Because it's a word, it's everywhere these days, but what is well-being, really? Let's see what you wrote. I know keeping routine alive is key. Sandra was saying, what is well-being for you? When we talk about well-being, we're taking care of ourselves. Okay, good. Is it only a physical thing? Okay, health, love, happiness, feel well about yourself and what you're doing with your life. Yes, exactly. So well-being is like composed of many different things, you know. It's not just your body, like having a healthy body, being fit, I mean, but also working on the spiritual side and in relationships, and this is key in this moment of isolation. Being able to connect with other people is when, you know, we have a social brain, so it's so important to be in touch, to keep in touch. And that's another reason why I thought about putting up this workshop, you know, because some of you are so really alone. And thanks to technology, I always like technology for this, we can be nearer each other. So yes, well-being is a skill. Remaining calm in the midst of chaos is a skill. It's something you practice every day until it becomes a habit. This needs to become a habit. And for that, we need to practice every day. It's not that just because today you're going to sit with me and do this workshop and maybe meditate for 2 or 3 minutes, you got it. It's not like that. You know, it takes time, it takes practice, it takes commitment, discipline, and until you really embody this and it becomes part of your life and who you are. There is a very nice tale by Thich Nhat Hanh. I don't know if you heard of him. His Zen master, Vietnamese Zen master, and he always says that when Vietnamese refugee boats met storms and pirates, if they all got panicked, and, you know, there would be no hope for them. Everything would be lost. But if one person on the boat, at least, if only one on the boat remained calm and centered, then that was enough. They would survive. And I think about that every day, because I say, well, if at least one of us, one in your team, remains calm and certain, then we will all survive this. So bear that in mind. Be that person. Okay. Very good. So the first thing then to work on our well-being is getting off autopilot. What is that? How many things do you think you do on autopilot since the moment you wake up in the morning? A lot, many, most of things. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Any of you wakes up and takes a look at the cell phone? First thing you do? Raise your hand if you do. Yeah, we do that a lot, right? First thing we do is I wake up, check my cell phone. That's crazy. That's crazy, but we do that, right? We do that. And there are lots of things we do on autopilot. Most of the day, well, actually, it's very harmful to be on autopilot most of the day. And then I'm going to show you a survey that says that we are on autopilot most of our day. And it's really incredible. Now, what happens when we're on autopilot is that, first of all, our attention is not in the present, but kind of travels. So our mind, when we talk about attention to our mind, is either in the past. So we start remembering when we're not in lockdown, when our lives were happier, when we could go to work, when we could go to the supermarket, and all the things we could do. That now, you know, it's like going to the supermarket, come on, it's the best outing ever, and I can't do it, you know? So it's kind of crazy. And so if our mind stays too much in the past, remembering all the good times, then we get depressed. That's the feeling we get really depressed. Now, if it goes to the future, most of these days our minds are in the future. What's going to happen? We're going to go out. When we'll be able to go out? What about our families? Will we get sick? Will we get a vaccine? You know, we're all the time like thinking and thinking about the future, which only brings out anxiety, right? So we kind of move depression, melancholy, anxiety, fear. And we are not in the present. We get distracted, very easily distracted. We watch the telly, we watch the news, how many infected people, how many lives lost. You know, we get kind of sometimes really obsessed about, you know, how many people got infected, how many deaths, you know. So we get very easily distracted, we can't concentrate. This brings out more anxiety. We are less aware of what's happening to us. Maybe we're so tense in our shoulders, our necks, we just hardly notice because we're all the time here in our thoughts, lost in our thoughts. And of course, we act completely on habit patterns. I mean, when we are like this, we are kind of in a survival mode. So we're not really aware of what we're doing. So we get this email from my boss or something that I think if they're criticizing me or something I don't like, and just immediately react to that without even giving it a thought. You know, it's just react, and I just go through that pattern that I know without maybe thinking what's really happening. So that's the difference between reacting and responding. When we react, we do it on automatic pilot. I'm not thinking. When I respond, it's because I'm aware and I think about it. And most of these days we are on the reactive mode, but because we are on alert, okay? And this is so normal. This is what I was telling you about. Look at these figures. This is a Harvard study carried out many years ago, and it says that 47% of the time we're awakened, our mind is wandering. So again, past, future, never in the present. 70% leaders report regularly unable to be attentive in meetings. So your body is in the meeting, but your mind is somewhere else, and you're not really there. And that's 70%. It's a lot, huge lot. Do you find yourselves there? Like maybe you're in a meeting or not? I don't know. Even now with technology, this question that you can turn off the camera and then maybe being at home, you know, and you've got your kids and your husband is like truly destructive. So maybe I don't know, but probably I think that even now this might be higher. And there are only 2% regularly make time to enhance personal productivity. So it seems to be that only 2%, a tiny percentage, try to find ways to be more present, to be more productive. Okay. So what can we do? Being on autopilot is not very healthy. It's not definitely not helping this in these difficult times we're having. So how do we go from getting off the pilot to gaining more presence, to cultivating or to be cultivating more presence in our daily work? Okay, this is one of the things you could do, and this is what I wanted to present to you. Is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness means being aware. And today I'm going to share a little bit, because it's a word, it's a buzzword, you know, it's everywhere these days. There are lots of things about mindfulness, and it's this hype built around this. And many people calling or talking about mindfulness without really knowing what mindfulness is. So it's very simple. It's just noticing what's happening at the present moment, without judgment. This is another definition by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. I also like this because it's very, very clear. It's the awareness that emerges through paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally to the things as they are. So basically, it's being aware, it's growing awareness on something that maybe we we don't have, and I discovered that most of the time people are unaware of many things. Paying attention. As a teacher, I find myself many times asking my students, please pay attention, but never teaching them how to pay attention, right? So paying attention means me purposely, with intention, really focusing on something in particular in the present moment, because this is the only moment we've got really here, guys. We're together in this workshop, and this is all we have, really. The past is past, we can't change it. The future, we don't know, is more uncertain than ever. So there's nothing I can do. Why worry about it? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. The only thing I know is this moment, is what I have right now. So let's better seize it, okay? And non-judgmentally. When I talk about not being judgmental, this is maybe the most difficult thing to do, is just accept things as they are, with curiosity, compassion, and kindness. All right, and it's just that accepting, without wanting things to be different. And this is so difficult, because I know that in this moment we all want things to be different. We all want things to be different. Nobody wants these things as they are, but we have no choice. I mean, we cannot control this. We cannot control the quarantine. We cannot control the coronavirus. We cannot control this. But what we can control is how we behave, how we relate to this experience. There we have 100% of control, and it's up to us, and it's our own responsibility. And this is where we can work, what we can do, and how we can surf these turbulent waves. Okay, and John Kabat-Zinn, this is the doctor who brought the practice of mindfulness to the West. Of course, it has its origins in the Eastern tradition, in Buddhist meditation, but what John did was to secularize the practice, so there is no religion attached to the practice. What he did, this was in the late 70s, he treated his patients who suffer from chronic pain and anxiety disorders, and he found out that this type of meditation really helped them. And he developed an 8-week program called MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program, that these days is known worldwide and replicated in many different countries. And all the research and neuroscience that we know today is based on this very program that John created. So that's why it's so famous. This is another way in which I like referring to mindfulness. This is a quote by Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you heard from him as well. He's a Holocaust survivor, and he says that between stimulus and response there is a space. That is, the stimulus in this case would be the coronavirus, right? It's a stimulus. The stimulus in itself is completely neutral. You know, it's a virus, but it's how we see this, how we perceive this reality through our own lenses and set of beliefs that makes us, respond in different ways. So if between the stimulus and the response we create this space would be mindfulness. It's just maybe connecting with your breathing, connected with yourself. And the more you connect with yourself, the bigger this space will be. And in this space is our power to choose our response. So that the bigger, if we really make room between the stimulus and the response, our response will be much more skillful and conscious. And there lies our freedom, our growth. So that is when we're really free, when we can choose. That is the really power of freedom. That's why I like this quote. All right, so the only way to understand what mindfulness is by experiencing it. If you don't experience it in the body, you won't understand what it is. So let's have a go at it. You don't need anything special to practice mindfulness, really. Of course, if you have a quiet space in your house, it's much better. But even just before you turn on the computer in the morning, just can maybe close your eyes again. We're going to do this micro practice together. Just closing your eyes, making sure your back is straight, that your arms and shoulders are relaxed. Just taking 3 breaths, 3 deep breaths. Noticing the air maybe coming in and out of your nose. Noticing the rhythm of your breath. If it's too fast, neutral, or low. Just noticing. Relaxing the body. Relaxing the shoulders, the arms, the hands. Just letting go. Or maybe asking yourselves this question. What is important now? What is important now? And just opening your eyes. So a very short practice. This is a micro practice. Of course, you can do longer, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I would say that to begin with, 2-3 minute practice is great. This one is very useful. 3 breaths, like paying attention to your breath. You don't need to close your eyes if you really don't feel comfortable. But just lower your gaze, and that's it. Just feeling your breath, taking 3 deep breaths, relaxing the body, and triggering this question: what is important? Because sometimes that very simple question helps you ground, like what is important right now. If you ask yourself this question before a very deep and very critical meeting, or before you have a difficult conversation at work, maybe asking this question helps you be more grounded and effective. Like, what do I want? I really want to show up in this way to the other person, Okay. Any comments when you felt? Let's go to the experience. I mean, when you did this, how do you feel now? How did you feel while you were connecting with your breathing, relaxing your body? Even what was the question you asked yourself? If you want to share. It felt good. I connected with my body. Okay. The thing about mindfulness is that it works when you keep up a practice. That is, when you have a regular practice. So it's not so important the length of the exercise, whether you are meditating 10, 20, 30 minutes, but the regularity of the practice. So if you get used to maybe making these pauses throughout your day, especially when you feel really overwhelmed, it comes a moment in the day when you maybe feel a little bit overwhelmed, you're having too much, or you watch the telly, or you got this call from work or whatever, so you know that it's really getting to you, so you stop. And at that moment, you just stop. You stop if you can realize it, because sometimes we are so much on autopilot that we don't realize that we need to stop. But if little by little you start noticing and making these pauses throughout the day, you will see how it will help. It will help a lot, I'm sure. Okay, and Tali says more relaxed. On my answer would be to be sure to have a moment of joy every day, so we don't live on autopilot. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, very good. So the stress and the brain, we're all going through a time of terrible stress, and stress is good. Don't take me wrong. When the stress is adaptive, it's a good thing. Sometimes we need a little bit of stress to, for example, before an exam, a little bit of stress is good because it helps us be on alert. But when stress becomes chronic, then it's very harmful. It's very harmful for our brain, for our health, for our body. You know that when we are stressed, when we suffer from chronic stress, we actually kill neurons in our brains. So, and we do many other things that are so helpful for our body. But what I mean is that it's really harmful for our brain. We're losing neurons here, okay? So, any stressful situation in life, any, could be real or imaginary, triggers that the amygdala in our limbic system gets activated. And in consequence, the fight, flight, or freeze mode kicks in. All right, and this is a complete natural reaction, physiological reaction. And you know, our modern brains are made up of two brains, actually. We have the old brain, which is the reptilian and the limbic system, which the old brain will be there. And then we have the new brain, which is the neurocortex. And when we feel stress, when we feel that something is threatening us, we feel in danger. So what happens is that the amygdala gets activated and blocks the prefrontal cortex, that is the thinking brain. So we cannot think straight anymore. So we are taken over by the emotion, by fear, by anger, whatever we're feeling that it's so intense. And so this prevents us from thinking straight. So this is why it's so important for you, for us leaders, to stay grounded and calm and really find ways to stay very much connected. Because when we do this, when we practice mindfulness, what we're doing is strengthening our thinking brain. We're strengthening the prefrontal cortex so that when we feel in this dangerous situation, we will be much more in control of ourselves and our decisions. And this other term, neuroplasticity, is also very much connected with mindfulness, because when we practice mindfulness, actually, we are doing self-directed neuroplasticity. We are creating new neural pathways, and we are making our brain more plastic and healthier. So it's basically mental training. And this chart shows very clearly what we do when we focus on something in particular. Let's pick the breath. In the previous exercises, I asked you, pay attention to your breath, notice your breath, and that is focusing our attention there. And maybe you got distracted, and that's perfectly okay. That tends to happen. So when you notice you get distracted, you gently bring back your attention and redirect it to your breath again. And in doing this, just realizing that you got distracted and coming back, you got distracted and you came back, you are exercising your attention muscle. And when you strengthen your attention muscle, basically what you're doing is strengthening the prefrontal cortex, so that you're not much more, so you're so much in control of what you want and the decisions, and you can plan and you can anticipate and be at your best. And that is what you want. That is the type of leader you want in this time of crisis, in this VUCA world. You want someone on the boat who can really think straight. That's the only way in which we're going to survive. All right. So, what exercises, what things can you do apart from these pauses I told you about? Well, there are lots of tiny things we can do. Of course, at work and now in the home office. First of all, what I told you before, setting an intention for the day. When you wake up, the first thing you do when you wake up is not just take a look at yourself, but maybe think about an intention. What do I want for myself today? And think about that. So setting and living with intention. Taking a mindful moment before you take or you turn on the computer or cell phone, really maybe having this 1 minute to arrive practice is the one we did at the beginning, or the 3 breaths practice. Just don't go straight to the emails. Just take a moment, to connect with yourself, breathe, see what's going on inside yourself, and allow and embrace anything that is there. If you feel anger, it's okay. If you feel anguish, it's okay, fine. If you're afraid, it's all right. But just being in contact with what you're feeling, before starting your day. Being mindful of your workplace, of your work surface. If you can do this, I know that some of you are working maybe from the living room, that you don't have your own space. If you have your office, maybe you can take the time to. I'm just taking some pictures from my office. So there I have my 2 monitors. I've got a stone that says breathe on it, and I place it very near the monitor to remember to breathe from time to time. I've got these quotes. Peace begins with your lovely smile. I have got my chimes. I've got a candle. I've got, I got things, near my computer, just to remind myself of it all the time, to be in the present moment. You can do that as well if you have the possibility. Having your favorite mug with your cup of coffee in the morning, just, little things you can do and arrange the space in such a way that you feel more connected. Doing some mindful drinking and eating. So when you're taking your glass of water, just, knowing that you're drinking the glass of water, not doing it on autopilot. If you're drinking coffee, having mate, or whatever you're doing, just really drinking and paying attention to that. If you're eating, whatever you're eating, when you're having your breakfast in the morning, just take the time to savor that breakfast, to really taste it, connect with the smell. The senses are very useful to come back to the present moment. So that's practicing mindfully informally, not necessarily on a meditation cushion or at your desk. You can also do it as you do your daily activities. And then don't forget to make these mindful pauses along the day. 2 or 3 minutes will do. Before a meeting, before a phone call, before, I don't know, having a difficult conversation with someone at work. Just take some time to pause. And the pauses could be the 3 breaths that would help you focus, the minute to arrive, very useful for meetings. Mindful desk exercises, when I'm talking about desk exercises, are mindful movements you can make. For example, just breathing and just relaxing the shoulders, or just stretching, There are lots of things you can do, short exercises, just moving your body. Maybe taking the chin to the chest, and also taking the time to go around with your head one side and the other. Slowly, just so that your attention goes there to the movement, and you're stopping, and at the same time you're doing something for your body, that something is so stiff when you're so many hours in front of the computer. Sometimes I've got like a journal, like a diary next to my monitor. So that when I feel really overwhelmed, or I feel sad, or like I'm not taking it anymore, I cannot take it anymore, I just write down ideas. Like I vent everything I feel on this journal. Writing helps a lot. So if you like writing, it's a way of emptying your mind, and it truly helps relieve yourself. And then, as I said before, connect to your senses. If you have a balcony and you can go out, or if you are blessed to have a garden, or even in your flat, but just connecting with your senses, with this freshness in your eyes. So if it's the first time you are there, just hearing, tasting, smelling, whatever you can, connect with what you've got around yourself, but make pauses. It's just a habit you need to take up, and the only way is being aware and disciplined. Okay. And I've got a quarantine challenge for you to see if you can set up your daily practice. Well, of course, these days you can engage in many MBSR programs. There are some for free, some offer for free. I know, because some colleagues are doing it. I'm doing it myself. So if you're interested, you can contact me through Radical Mindfulness. My organization, you can find on SoundCloud some free meditations in Spanish. So you are more than welcome to follow me there, and you will find many meditations. Some are very short, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes the most. So you can pick the one you want. I will be uploading more in the future. Soon, hopefully. This app I truly recommend is free. It's called Insight Timer, and you can actually set it up for any language you want. It could be Spanish, could be English, and you've got many different meditation practices. They're all free. They have different lengths, so you can choose 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I recommend you start with short meditations, and once you feel comfortable with this, you can do more, but don't force yourself. Okay, this should be something you want, you need, but don't force yourself to do this if you're not really up to it. And you can also follow me on Instagram for Recycle Mindfulness. I'm uploading different resources and upcoming workshops, and well, just keep in touch. That's what I can offer you to keep up the practice. And I just wanted to end up with this quote: the role of leadership is to bring clarity in uncertain times. Don't forget that. The role of leadership is to bring clarity in uncertain times, and the more uncertain times are, the more leadership is required. So really remember this. This is a time for you to stay grounded, to stay calm, to keep calm and positive as well. So notice when your mind goes to the negative, because that's what it does. Minds are set for the negative biases. So we will go to the negative and we'll see what is wrong. But just with the moment you realize that your mind is there in the negative, just switch and say, well, this is not good for me. This is not helping me, and connect with gratitude, with the things you do have, with the fact that we are still alive and we are still healthy. All right? Okay, very good. So thank you for your mindful attention. And we've got 2 or 3 minutes. If you want to open up your mics and share whatever you want to share, or make questions, I will be more than happy to answer them.